Hey y'all, so welcome back. So I wanted to try something a little different. There has been a topic that has been on my mind for a while, and the topic came up because of a training that I decided to do. So as a foster parent, you're supposed to do so many hours of training that are required every year, and then you get to pick your elective 3 hours. So this year, a topic came up for a training, and it was called grieving the loss of a foster placement, or just grieving the loss of a placement. And it sparked something. I was like, oh, that sounds so interesting. So I decided to do it. And the reason I decided to do it is because I, had closed my home for a little bit. It was inactive. It was closed for a little over a year after my second foster placement left. And it wasn't technically closed because I had a third placement. I just didn't accept any new placements. So when she left, I, cleared out most of the stuff and sent it with her. And everything that she did not want or could not fit was left here: clothes, toys, shoes, coats, whatever. And so I pretty much cleared it out or packed it away and closed the door to her room. And I really didn't need that room until my son got older and needed a space to play. And it started transitioning into his area. And I still didn't really clear out anything, because whenever I started, I would stop because I'd be like, oh, this was so-and-so's. I can't get rid of this stuff. And I just could not understand why I could not let go. And so I would put it back in the closet and say, I'll come back to it. Well, it came time to get ready for a new placement, and I had to clean out all of this stuff. I could not keep everything and bring in a new placement with their own things and buy more things. So I started cleaning out, and it was the hardest thing ever. So back to the training. So the training was basically all about grieving the loss of a child. And by loss, they mean reunification with the primary family, or, they went to another home to be adopted, or just change of placement due to that family not being able to meet the needs of that child. And grief, not grief like death and the loss of a close loved one or anything like that, but grief in the sense of you're experiencing some type of loss in your life, whether it is, a friendship or, a close partnership, just that kind of grief. And they really hit on some things that I feel like are not touched on in the foster community. And I love that this training gave us a safe space to kind of be able to just discuss these things. So the goal of foster care is to bring a child into your home, and that their primary or bio family receives the support and services they need, and the children go home. Like, this is the life cycle of a foster home. This is the goal. And it's crazy because when you decide to become a foster parent, this is the goal, but you don't think about the fact that, you're going to experience this child leave your home and the void and the emptiness that it's going to have in your life. And you don't even think about, okay, this is going to happen placement after placement, year after year. But this is essentially like what we're signing up for. And a quote from the training that really resonated with me was, if we're doing our jobs right, then we as foster parents will most certainly experience grief due to the loss of a placement. And I was like, wow. And this kind of experience of foster care, it's so hard because you have a small community who understands. And sometimes you don't even have that community because, you don't really know all the other foster families in your area. And one thing about foster families and foster parents is that you can easily slip into this habit of putting everyone before yourself, because you want to make sure the child is getting what they need, the family is getting the support they need, and you don't take the necessary time to really pour back into yourself. And so when a child does leave, you're just like preparing for the next, because your home still needs you, your child still needs you, your job still needs you. Oh, here comes another placement. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like we don't properly grieve. And that was one of the things talked about in the training. And then another thing that was talked about that really made me think was that Sometimes we don't grieve or talk to someone or work through that because we feel almost selfish. And I think that's the big one. Because you feel like, how dare I be so sad and upset or, feel this grief or this loss when this child leaves my home? Like, I knew this was going to happen. This child did not belong to me. The goal is to get them back to their family. You just feel selfish. Like, how could you be this heartbroken when you knew this was going to happen? And honestly, it doesn't matter how long a child is in your home, you're going to build some sort of bond and you're going to feel like, wow, there's something missing. You're going to feel that void. As a teacher, I feel that void every time I get a new set of kids. I keep my kids for 3 years, and when I send them up to high school, I'm like, oh my God, I miss my babies. Like, they are my babies for that time until I send them on to the next teacher. So it's natural. But in this sense, in foster care, I feel like we don't talk about it because you as the foster parent, you're not supposed to be so upset that a child leaves because the goal is for them to leave. So my personal experience, I had a child who was in my home for almost exactly a year. We spent birthdays together, Christmases together, extracurricular activities, just any and everything we did one-on-one. We got to the point where she was like, I have 2 mommies that I love. Her mother and I, we co-parented very well together. We kept in contact throughout the whole thing. And then one day I was told, that she was going to live with aunt and uncle and they were going to adopt her. And that was it. A month or 2 later, she was gone. And I was like, wow, and it wasn't until I had to go back in that room and go through her stuff that it hit me like, I don't think I've truly grieved her leaving. I closed the door to her room and just moved forward because my son needed me. My job needed me, and it's just crazy how you don't realize that you have not processed the grief. Which is why I liked that training so much, because they gave us tips to make sure we're doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves in between placements, during placements, after placements. And that is what I wanted to share. So in the training, we went over 3 important things. The first one is something that I have been preaching and something that I actually did, and that is to take breaks. That it is okay to take breaks. It's okay to say no to this placement. It's okay to say no to placements for an extended period of time, and it is not selfish. Yes, there's always going to be another kid. Yes, somebody's going to need a home, but you do not have to feel like you have to take the placement over taking care of yourself, which leads into the second one, which was self-care. And they talked about different ways to practice self-care during your placements, after your placement leaves. Like, ongoing self-care was the key to taking care of yourself. And I have been really working hard at practicing this. And I struggle using my village, using parents' night out, using foster night out, if they have that in your area. And then the last thing was to have a support group, whether it's other foster families or just your friends and family, having that support group that you can talk to. But most importantly, having a support group that knows what you're going through so you can just share and express your feelings and really just talk to somebody. So I hope you all enjoyed this little share moment or this little talk. I hope I helped someone along the way, or just kind of enlighten you, if you're not a foster parent, to, reach out to somebody who is a foster parent and just be a helping hand or a listening ear along the way. So that's all, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.